So I told you a little bit about how long I've been writing. My background is largely scientific. I am an engineer. I work across the street at the Intel fabrication plant. And so some of my poetry reflects a little science, shall we say. But the first thing I want to read is a desiderata. A desiderata is something that is a statement that you would like to do in your lifetime. And so this one is my desiderata. I long to trap for silver-tipped illusion along the placid streams of dreams, to soar on broad wings of happiness in the boundless blue of joy, to plant, cultivate, and harvest the bountiful green of many wonders, to pluck ripe the fruit of friendship and savor its sweet depths, to smell the budding flower of solitude and whisper of its fragrance to the wind, to strike one common chord on my golden lyre, to share its lilting music, to tramp one time a narrow trail in the wilderness of a wandering soul. At our age, we spend some time waiting for doctors. And so years ago, I was sitting in a waiting room and I was reading, and this is the result. It's entitled Mark. His doctor seemed determined to outweight him, article after article, until he finally fell upon the leaky pen of poetry, dripping its way down the blotter of a printed page, leaving its indelible stain on a dry clean only pocket of his mind. This is the title poem from a manuscript of my poetry that I put together years ago. And a little explanation. Alluvium is the nutrients and the soil that is carried by a river. And from the overlook of space, the astronauts can see the alluvial fan of the Mississippi River as it pours into the Gulf of Mexico. The title of the poem is Alluvion. Awash in life's alluvium that collects at my right hand, Ink River flows away from where it long since left its brand. One time its rush was strong enough to carry with its flow soil sediments and detritus till currents ebbed too slow. Then suddenly this mud was dropped, it swirled and settled in to build in earth foundations for its nutrient rise again. In tearing down and building up, that river's course is gone. Entrenched in strife primordial, dark silt stole its elan. But standing high along a bank that's raised along the strand, there's been a rich accession now, a fertile stretch of land. I envision that fertile stretch of land to be poetry. And sort of along that same idea, and written about the same time, is a haiku called Artisan. Sand washes away canyons, carves mountains into alluvial fans. The title of this one is Masterpieces. This is a sonnet. The greatest paintings ever done on earth were rendered by a single artist's brush. If they were wrought to show some grief or mirth, with either mood, one's heart will feel a rush. The finest sculptures ever to be cast, conceived within one mind and guided hands, moves feelings over time and distance vast, transforming hearts like waves upon the sands. The truest words to yet be written down were authored by a solitary soul, not spoken by a man without a crown. His loving word may help to make man whole. The building of the stairways to the stars is done by those alone with all their scars. So everybody knows that time marches on. But what is now? Or in a few seconds, what is now? So I had this strange idea. It's called direction. Now is the pulley in the changing loop of time. The long, endless future is drawn through it and squeaks into the long remembered past at every turning. I'll read two more. This is Plop Fizz. On a summer's day, there was a brief storm that came through town, and it moved on, and it was traveling west. So, Horizon's indigestion, with its heartburn of the day, clearly belched in need of an antacid right away. One gigantic tablet disappeared into the glass, and effervescent stars arose from night's deep dimitass. One thing that poets do, they take all of the words they know and they use them the best they can. And sometimes the words that are there to be used aren't exactly good enough. And so a poet may create a word or two of his own. And right, there you are. And yet the word has a wonderful meaning of its own, something that I think generally enhances human nature and speech. The title of this poem is Distillate, something that is distilled is called a distillate, but this happens to be distillate because it refers to a storm that happened at night. I've always been a night person, and this may reveal to you somewhat why. Please catch again for me an instant filled with rain cascading down amid brief light, reminding me of great black forests rilled, while half a world away my heart takes flight. These strobe-like stereo pictures that they make have launched themselves into my night's seclusion upon a stage that's now and then opaque. Tonight's magicians coordinate illusion. To feel again such feelings as I might, I longed to slip away from daytime boredom. By seeking winds of change, my mind's a kite that's learned of windy nights and how to hoard 'em. The jagged trace of images in light distilled for me the swallowtude of night. Let's see, Jean is next.